How's everybody doing? Good to be here. Obviously, exciting time. Ready to get the season going. Excited about the opportunity to play at home in the opener against Central. Very good football team, and we're anxious and excited to get going. Team's worked exceptionally hard. As you guys know, you heard about Landon's injury last Friday. Very disappointed for Landon. It was a non-contact injury. We were sitting there, actually, he was just working with O-lineman. So non-contact, O-lineman on O-lineman, working just fit, hands, basic things. Had a weird, I don't know whether he put his foot in a divot, got hit awkwardly and got knee injury. So really disappointed for Landon and for our football team. 2 years in a row to lose your starting left tackle. It's disappointing. Again, you guys know we've talked about our depth. I mean, I'm pleased that we have some guys and some guys to step up and replace them, but it's hard to take away that experience. And again, for the young man and how hard he's worked and what a great leader he is. So he's going to be missed. And again, just like last year, it hurts your overall depth. You go from feeling pretty darn good about 9, 10 guys to just taking that one spot away and having to move some of the tackles around. And Darian was looking so good at guard, and we'll put him back at tackle. But the first options at left will be with Nasir and with EJ. So we'll take a look at those two guys to replace Landon at left tackle. So that was a disappointing injury so late in camp. Also wanted to give you an update on Josh Pascal. Josh is getting treatment. He has a meeting this week with his treatment team, and he's out indefinitely until we tell you otherwise. Also with Coach Schlarman, Coach Schlarman is dealing with some very serious medical issues. As you know, we talked about that before. At this point, John has gone through 2 rounds of chemotherapy and is handling things with a very strong attitude and strong mindset, and is getting the very best treatment he can. And again, just continue to pray for him. Our thoughts and prayers are with John and his family, but he's definitely battling a very serious illness. And to John's credit, he's been at work every day. He hasn't missed. Matter of fact, just walking over here just now, I just saw John walking out of the building with one of our other coaches to go for a little walk and get some exercise. And last Friday he had chemo all morning and was at practice in the afternoon. So he's been a warrior with this, and again, we're just thinking and praying for him and his family. Also, other big news that y'all been waiting for is the starting quarterback position, and Terry Wilson will open up game 1 as the starter, and he's won the quarterback battle. It's been an ongoing battle, as you know. I have great respect for all of our quarterbacks. I feel like we have a great quarterback room, and with the other quarterbacks, with Gunner and Danny in particular, they've put up a great fight, and they've done a lot of things in a lot of ways, have done things to win the job as well. Ultimately, with all the things that we looked at, we decided on Terry, and we're excited about Terry and what he's going to do this week. But again, I'd like to thank all those guys, and those guys have been unbelievable teammates and unbelievable competitors. So that's where it stands right now.
What is it about Terry that sort of pushed him over?
I don't really want to get into all the specifics of what we looked at, because more than anything, I don't want to look at the negatives of the other guys, because I have a lot of respect for our players and what they've done. But there's, a lot of things we look at. We look at targets, accuracy, decision making, yards, leadership. There's many things we look at, and we're very excited about Terry. But again, I have a lot of confidence in the other guys as well.
Do you still plan to play more than one quarterback?
I don't know. I don't know how that's going to play out. I cannot say that right now, or to them. Those players understand that. I'd like both guys to play. I think both guys have earned the right to get an opportunity to play, but you understand, and I understand, and they understand that sometimes that's not a possibility, so we'll see. I've also been very loyal to the starting quarterbacks here, and they have not been on a short leash, and we've been very supportive of that until it gets to a point where we feel like you absolutely have to make a change or take another look. So I want to be loyal to the starting quarterback and give him every opportunity and not have him looking over his shoulder as well.
New redshirt rule changes things, but are there any freshmen who you're pretty confident will exceed that threshold?
Yeah, guys, I knew I'd get that question here. A couple guys. So, with the kickers, so Miles is going to start at kicker, and Chance Poor is a guy that I want to keep ready at all times as well and travel, because with this new rule, he has a very strong leg. So should we need a game winner and possibly even an end a half long kick, we could use Chance at that point, and he could keep on working because he's looked impressive during camp as well with all field goals and PATs. But DeAndre Square and Chris Oates will play. Possibly Marquand Manuel, we'll see. Marquand McCall, we'll see about him. Marquand will be one of those guys that we will just have ready, and depending on injuries, we'll see, or see how he progresses as well. So not positive about him. Offensively, Akeem Hayes and Alan Daly will play, and then a couple guys will keep warm in that same boat are Keaton Upshaw and Brandon Bates. They're both guys that will develop and keep up. And there's other guys as well. So, we'll see what happens with injuries and, week to week. It's nice, like we talked about, just to keep guys active. And, if we can get them in certain games, we will.
Mark, at what point did you finalize the quarterback decision? Did Landon's injury have anything to do with it?
No, it didn't. We made the decision over the weekend. I brought both quarterbacks in Friday after practice, and I had a face-to-face with them and just told them, what I was thinking and when I was going to make that decision, and just so they understood where we were at. And I told them I'd call them over the weekend and bring them back to the office and tell them face-to-face. So made that decision over the weekend. I think I already mentioned also with the freshmen, though, Darian Kennard, will play as well. He had been moving some at guard, and now we're moving the right tackle, and give us some more options at tackle.
How does Terry make your offense more dynamic?
Well, I think, that's yet to be seen. I think we all know Terry's a very athletic guy. And as I told those guys, now it's about let's see how we play. We have to go in games and play very well and make good decisions. And a lot of times that's just instinctual. You watch football and you see guys pull it down and run and not get too antsy. Play within the offense, but then at the right moments, pulling it down, scrambling to buy time to throw the ball, scrambling to make yards. He's a dynamic guy, but we haven't seen him full go. Because he has not been alive since he's been here. So, I'm kind of interested to see how that gear goes in myself. See what he could kick that thing up to and how fast he can run when he gets in the open field, because he's definitely an explosive guy. But it's not about that. It wasn't about just the legs at all. That's always a piece of it. It's about operating within the offense, and you've heard me talk for a year now about being improved and trying to build on the passing game as well.
Is there any chance that Gunner could get in some playing time Saturday?
I think I mentioned that, already. Just that, we'll see. I'm not going to sit here and say that. If it doesn't work out and get questioned and, question him, it's not fair to him. He's gone through a long battle. We'll see. I think if you watched enough football, at some point in time, he's going to get his opportunity. And when he does, what he does with it is up to him. We've gone through a lot of things. You could look at the last time we went through a quarterback battle. I think it was the second game, and Steven Johnson went in when Drew got hurt, and really hasn't given, didn't give the job back the rest of his time. So you don't know how these things are going to play out. I just encourage all of our players to keep on, having a great team attitude. They're unbelievable kids. The quarterback room right now is incredible, going in all the way down to Walker. Walker Wood's an incredible young man, and he's excited to get some opportunity. He's on scout team right now because we're so deep at that position, but it's good for him because he's over there throwing the ball and getting a bunch of work done to get better. So I'm impressed with all those guys, and I'd like to see them continue to have that positive attitude.
Mark, you talked a lot about players and the family and everything here. But when you have a coach that's dealing with something like this, does that kind of change how you look at it? Do you get yourself watching, making sure that everything's okay with John? You have to make yourself not do that. How do you kind of handle that as a coach?
100%. That his family and his health is absolutely first and foremost, and he knows that. And yes, we've had conversations, along the way, every step of the way. And just last night we talked about that again with his plan, his treatment plan through the year, and I'm probably more cautious than he wants to be because I think he wants to live a normal life, and fortunately for him, he's been responding very well to the medicine. But you don't know how that's going to go, and that's what I do talk to him about, because our season it beats you down. We're in here 7 days a week, all day and night, and I don't want that to affect his health. So. You do have to manage that. He knows that. He has great comfort in knowing that there's people here that could pick up the slack, and there may be times, and I talked to him about that last night, where I forced him to go home and get a little bit of a rest or some sleep. So, but we'll see. Right now he's he's been very strong and very fortunate in the way his body's responding to the medicine, and like I said, he really hasn't missed a beat.
Change up recruiting with him?
No.
The intangibles that Stephen brought to the position last year, is there any way of knowing yet if Terry or Gunnar or anybody has those same types of things, or does it have to be when the lights come on?
I believe so. I think you see a lot of things during the practices and, all the time through the summer, and you see characteristics that all of our quarterbacks have. They have great leadership characteristics, and our players respect them, and they've done things right. And but as far as the intangibles and decision making in games, I think you have to see that in games, and I've said that to them all along, and they understand that as well. And Stephen is a great example of that, because maybe not all the time at practice he looked like the best quarterback, but when he went into games, he gave us an opportunity to win games, and he was a winner, and I expect these guys to be the same.
Mark, how much of an advantage or disadvantage is it to have the name quarterback this close to your first game of the season?
It is what it is. I really, whether it's an advantage or disadvantage, I really don't spend much time dwelling on that, to be honest with you. Just very matter of fact with it, So we've done the best we can, and I got a lot of confidence in the work that these guys have gotten done, and I think it's in the players' best interest to make sure you do your due diligence and really think it through, because these kids put an awful lot into this, and it also affects a bunch of people, not just them.
Was there an update on TJ Price? You had mentioned something about his hands last week.
Well, you guys were at the open practice, and he was banged up, so that's why he wasn't out there.
That's not like an ongoing.
No, not right now. He's, through camp, like a lot of players, have had a few nagging injuries here and there, but he should be full go this week.
What, as far as Nasser and EJ are concerned, where are they in the development stage right now, and do you think they're ready to handle this job?
Yeah, I feel good. I mean, it's hard to replace experience. You know that. Landon's got a bunch of snaps, and but I'm confident in their ability, and I'm confident in the work that they've done, and also, it's nice that we have a solid, experienced group around them, and so, we'll move on.
Mark, you've alluded to the fact that the first game of the season is always fraught with a bunch of unknowns. What are maybe some of the 2 or 3 biggest unknowns about your team that you'd like to see clarified in this game?
can't answer that. It's an unknown because you don't know what's going to happen. If I knew something about it, I'd try to head it off before we did. So I do appreciate your effort, though, John. Always trying to get me. You always do a good job of trying to get me. So no, I'm teasing.
I know you're busy coaching your team, but what do you think about the attendance figures and the tickets sold? Is that something?
I'm very, like always, I'm very super appreciative of the people that are coming because we need them, and we need the atmosphere and encourage all folks that we need all hands on deck because it makes a difference. You've heard me say it, and it's not just some silly cliche, but it takes all of us all the time. We need a bunch of people to build this program the way we all want it to be, and so just take a look around at the Southeastern Conference and take a look at the venues we step into, and it helps. It helps with recruiting. It helps with a lot of things. So we need some people there, and I appreciate the people that have come because I also realize that it takes a lot. I understand the complaints, and it's expensive. It takes a long time. It's hard to park. There's a lot of things, so I greatly appreciate it. Because when you're going to a football game, you better be vested because it's a full day. It's a lot to do, and greatly appreciate the support.
I believe Central Michigan at the 4 bowl game in the world.
Yeah.
What do you know about their team this year and the challenges they've had?
Yeah, they finished second in their division in the MAC. They're winning a bunch of games in the MAC, and those are good teams. I mean, we've been watching them, and heck, you watch them, just their crossovers, and who we played last year. You watch them on film, and they're good, well-coached teams. They've beaten 2 Power Fives in the past 2 or 3 years. So that's not a big deal to them. Believe me, they went up to Kansas last year and put a beating on Kansas. So they're used to playing Power Fives. They're used to playing, very good football teams. So, they're a winning program. I believe they won 8 last year, 8-5 last year, and so, they're a good football team that's well coached. And that's probably what stands out to me as you watch them and you watch a lot of the Macs that they do a very good job of not beating themselves and kind of sticking to what they do, and they play it well.
You talk about longevity in the conference with you and Nick and some of you the long coaches and the new coaches. How do you see that in the conference?
It's the conference. I think we know the conference is what it is. Might as well be the AFC East. So I mean it is. It's there's nobody. I can promise you, there's a bunch of people. Athletic departments, coaches, administrators, people that aren't looking to go backwards and that invest and put an awful lot into this league, and so I think that's a reflection of that.
Mark, you were talking about Coach Harmon. I think it was 3 years ago maybe that you all had a rash of injuries and were moving people, and they kind of just held the O-line together. Not quite as dramatic this year, but what is it about his method of coaching that enables him to connect with players and do that kind of thing so effectively?
Yeah, I think John just, he's very bright, but I think you all know him personally and his demeanor and his relationship with players. It's really hard not to like John. And I think that's real important, in particular with the O-line group. I think the O-line in a lot of ways, a lot of times, kind of sets the tone for your football team. And those are big guys, and there's a bunch of them, and really nobody messes with the O-line. So, but I think John has a great mentality. He's bright. I think the way he teaches, they understand it. He's very demanding, but he can do it in his own way, and he has a great comfort with that. And he's been very successful. And he's been very good. We have a nickname for him on our staff, and he's the Great American. So, but he's just a great guy. He's a great person, and I think the players see that and respect that as well. And that goes back years. So.
How is that group dealing with sort of between the Landon news and the John news? I mean, do you worry about the group? Are you paying extra attention to that group?
Well, the group is a bunch of guys that are good leaders, and they're experienced group, and that's the nice thing. Again, I think that room is very much player led, You know, we all know John's exceptional, and I've gone in there and talked to him a bit, but we have kept the group updated, what the plan is, what John's going through. They've been the first to know a lot of these things, and just try to be upfront and honest with them. And John has a great relationship with them, so I think they can certainly be inspired by the way John's handling this and the way he's going about his business. And how can you be a player out there feeling sorry for yourself when you have a man that's just gone through 5-6 hours of chemo and is sitting out there on the practice field coaching the same way he does every day? That's pretty inspirational to me, and I would assume to the players as well.
Is there an updated prognosis on Josh Pascal, or is that something you can do?
I really can't. He's meeting this week with his treatment team, and you know, he's out indefinitely, and you know, I'll update you if I have more information on that.
Mark, do you believe in initiate one for the giver?
No, I really don't. I don't. But, well, oh, yeah, I mean, here's the deal. Our players love Coach Schlarman and Josh. And, you know, I could tell you this, going back to the first meetings and telling these guys and talking through that, you can definitely hear a pin drop. And they, you know, definitely, you know, really want to rally around these guys, and they do. But I don't, that's a cliche thing that I let our football team do what they do. You know, we don't try not to get into too much of that. But I promise you there's a bunch of love, you know, for those guys. And, you know, we are going to recognize them, you know, a bit, you know, this season, you know, because we're thinking about them.
Mark, how much is Josh around the team still right now?
He's around a bunch. Yeah, he's around a bunch. Getting in mostly in the training room, getting his treatment, and you know, he's been dealing with, you know, the surgeries, you know. So the most recent one was a skin graft that wasn't as invasive as the previous one, but helps heal the bottom of the foot. So he's kind of getting through all of that. I think he'll be more excited when he can be up and moving and getting around, and they, you know, they're telling him, you know, as soon as that heals up, he can get in there and, you know, lift weights and things like that. And I'm sure that'll make him, I know he's excited about that.
On a less weighty matter, will Miles handle the place kicking and the kickoffs?
Actually, Grant may do the kickoffs. Yeah, Grant's done a really nice job with kickoffs. He's got a strong leg. Mm-hmm.
When you have walk-ons, you know, like David and Miles, who earn scholarships and are first in town, what does that do for your walk-on program? Does it sort of invigorate all those guys?
Yeah, absolutely. I think it does. And, you know, we've been pleased. I don't have all those numbers directly in front of me. Tony will probably scratch those up somewhere sometime here. But, you know, I am proud that we've had quite a few guys that have been walk-ons and earned scholarships and contributed to the football team.
Central Michigan's quarterback last year played receiver. Have you ever encountered anything like that before?
Well, he's an athlete. He's a dual guy. He's played both. He also played quarterback. I think that's one of those situations where they had a very good quarterback a year ago and had some experience. Very, very talented guy. And when he was a backup, they just felt like he was too athletic to not play him at all, you know, or try to, you know, give him another look. But there's also examples of him playing quarterback last year. And he's a dual threat guy, big kid, 6'7", you know, so he's a big guy.
They're running back. They use him in a lot of different ways. Do you have to pay some extra attention to where he is on the field?
Yeah, he's a big-time player. You know, he really is. Running back number 5, you know, very, very good football player. Jonathan Ward, you know, he's dynamic. He'll play, you know, he'll play football for a long time. And he's got great visions, great patience. He's strong. He's explosive. He's a very good football player.
How are you feeling about Boogie and him taking over that starting role?
Yeah, I feel good about Boogie. Boogie's a guy, you know, very good instincts. He's explosive. He's a good rusher. Also good on his feet. He's really good at that spot. It's really a more natural spot, you know, for him to play Sam. You know, and so. You know, so we'll see, you know, and put, you know, Josh back to Jack, but Jack, you know, is probably a more natural spot for Josh as well.
Mark, you could talk all day and all night to your players about how good Central Michigan is in their league. And after what Eastern Michigan came in there and did last year, how much are you relying on your leaders, your players, to tell the other guys we can't look past.
Absolutely, 100%. Our players know that, and you know, I could, you know, beat them over the head with words this afternoon, you know, with our Monday meeting. But it does have to come from them, and they have to have the sense of urgency and the importance to prepare and play that way. And I totally expect that, you know, just like all scenarios. You know, just like the scenario I'm going to deal with next Monday, the scenario I deal with now. You know, it's always year to year. You know, this is this year's football team. And, you know, we always do learn from our history, learn from, you know, good things, bad things we've done. We're always going to be in an environment to learn. But, you know, so that will be talked about. But this is a new year. This is a new football team. And so, you know, that's what my message will be.
You're more cautious with Jordan Jones because it took him a while to come back from surgery.
Yeah, I think, you know, it's time to go now. And I know Jordan wants that. So he's, you know, just had a few nagging, frustrating things, not only the shoulder, but then some other issues popping up on him. You know, from what I've seen in the past, you know, 3, 4, 5 days, I expect him to be full tilt this week. But I do have to be somewhat cautious of reps and, you know, in the first game. So we do have to have those young guys ready to go.
To have to deal with all the illnesses and injuries of people that you obviously have close relationships with, that has to affect you. How are you doing?
I'm doing fine, but it absolutely does, because I care about everybody in our program. I think anybody that personally knows me, I think understands that. But I do feel very good about my relationships with these people that, you know, that you're talking about, that are going through issues, and you know, that's part of this job. You're going to deal with a lot of good things, a lot of bad things, and you know, I think it's about leading this team and being very steady, and like I always try to be. So I personally am doing great, and I'm very excited about this year. But of course, the personal piece, you know, again, just saying prayers for these guys.
John, undergoing treatment, is there anybody in particular that's helping him with coach the offensive line?
Yeah, all of our guys are kind of all hands on deck, you know, with our offensive staff, because we all do understand that there could be a situation where he may, you know, need time away. So we're dealing with it day to day. But Coach Gran, obviously being the offense coordinator and the running back coach, is in on every single protection and every bit of the run game. So that helps as far as everybody being on the same page.
All right, folks, thank you very much.
Okay, thank you.
See you at practice tomorrow.